Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, on today's episode, we are going to give our thoughts on Nebraska's new head coach, Matt Rhule. And we are all Nebraska fans here, so keep that in mind as you listen to this episode. I don't know if we're going to be overly optimistic or pessimistic. We'll see, I guess. We really haven't discussed this much off pod, so that's good. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the hire?
I'm a fan of it. I like Matt Rhule. You wish he wouldn't be coming off of an unsuccessful NFL stint, but had he not been somewhat unsuccessful in the NFL, we wouldn't be having him as our coach right now. So I'm looking more to college, and what he did in the past. I'm not too concerned about what happened with Carolina.
I don't care about the NFL. There's plenty of great college coaches that have failed in the NFL.
Exactly. So that, to me, that's if that's the reason why you're alarmed about this, then don't be. I think that's kind of a silly argument. So I look back at the college days and took over a struggling Temple program, and then in his third and fourth years there, he led them to 10 wins in both of those years, which is amazing at Temple, getting to 10 wins. Then took over Baylor in a tough spot after kind of the Art Briles kind of fallout, and They bottomed out. He did a good job bottoming out his first year. We always gave him credit for that, going 1-11. So anything after that was gravy. But in year three, just a couple years after that 1-11 season, he led them to 11 wins and to a Big 12 title game appearance and a Sugar Bowl appearance. So he's known for being a developer of players, which Nebraska has to become. I mean, Nebraska usually always recruits fine, no matter who the coach is. But we haven't had a guy that can develop talent, and supposedly that's his, kind of his calling card, which is what we need. We need a guy that understands the importance of line play, which he has already stated multiple times. He kind of puts that a point of emphasis, and he needed defense. So I don't know. I'm a fan of it. I think he fits the culture well. I think the fans are going to end up liking him, even though maybe some of them are a little reluctant on the hire. But I think they'd be reluctant on anybody. We're just so used to getting burned right now. So, but I'm on board. I think this is a good hire. Very, very good hire for Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, if you compared to the fanfare that was surrounding Scott Frost a few years ago, this is obviously a little more tempered. I think fans are a little more cautiously optimistic, but I'm leaning towards being a fan of this hire, especially considering how poorly Nebraska has played recently. It's about as good of a hire as you could ask for. He was one of the top names in this coaching cycle. Everyone knew he would come back to the college game. Even before the NFL season started, there was murmurs that it might not pan out well this year, and supposedly he turned down a few other jobs. So Nebraska still carries some weight. They have a brand new facility opening this year. They were able to spend big money to land him, over $9 million a year. And I think his style, his brand of football will fit the Nebraska culture. He has a focus on the offensive and defensive lines. He runs the ball, likes to instill toughness. I mean, these are kind of his words. And he's respected by high school coaches, lives and breathes football. I think, and today in his press conference, we record this Monday, he wowed everyone. So there's lots to like.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's a very good hire because if you think about it, if he were hired immediately after that 2019 season at Baylor, where he'd just come off, kind of a miracle at Temple and then another kind of miracle, maybe that's too strong of a word, but you get the idea, at Baylor, everyone would say, this is amazing. Like, this is such a great hire. Well, all that's happened between then is that he had an underwhelming few years in the NFL, which, again, like, there's so many coaches that has happened for. Yeah, it's college and the NFL are totally different. So I really don't put too much stock into that. So, yeah, it's just a few years removed from everyone unanimously calling it an incredible hire. And even if you look nationally, most people that cover college football, I've listened to other podcasts, they like it. They think this makes sense, and it doesn't mean that it will work. Of course, it's really hard to predict how any coach will do, but it's a good sign that at least people like it nationally. And he fits what Nebraska needs right now after so much tumult and just bad vibes around the program. You need a proven culture builder, someone who, like you said, Ryan, develops talent, just a solid, organized coach. And that's what Matt Rhule is going to be. Yep. So I guess if I'm going to bring in one, not negative here, but just a question I have is, I don't know what his ceiling is as a recruiter. Like, he clearly did a good job of finding diamonds in the rough in his previous spots, but can he elevate Nebraska kind of back into the top 20 of recruiting? And maybe he can, and maybe it doesn't matter because maybe NIL will be able to do that, for him with the amount of investment that Nebraska has. But just if I'm trying to kind of play devil's advocate here, he doesn't have the proven recruiting track record that a Billy Napier or Mario Cristobal type have. So,
yeah, but a lot of it depends on who he brings in as, around him staff wise, and who those position coaches are and if they can recruit.
That is a very good point. Yeah, if he's able to keep Mickey Joseph, who of course I know some Nebraska fans wanted to be the head coach, but I think he would. That would be amazing to be able to keep Mickey Joseph.
Pay him over $1 million, keep him as a receiver coach, an associate head coach, whatever, and then that's huge because he's obviously a tremendous recruiter.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is we can't fully, I guess, grade this hire until we see the staff that he assembles. I know as we record this, the kind of first rumored staff hire is Marcus Satterfield, the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. What do you guys think about that?
It's not exactly I'm jumping for joy for Satterfield, and I don't because just gauging off of what South Carolina did this year offensively, I know they finished the year strong with a couple of good games, but up until that point, it was pretty underwhelming. Spencer Rattler had a pretty horrible year statistically, and I know the fans of the Gamecocks aren't exactly sad to see him
they are
walk out the door.
Jumping for joy that someone hired him away. So
that's a little concerning, but I'm willing to give him a chance. Yeah, I mean, going back and working with Matt Rhule, maybe that'll kind of be a little bit of a Kickstarter for him. But and maybe the situation will be a little better. But it's not an A+ offensive coordinator hire.
Right. Okay. Well, how about the fact that Wisconsin, kind of shortly after, hired Luke Fickell from Cincinnati? Does that at all affect your thoughts on the Matt Rhule hire?
It doesn't. No, I mean it's a completely different school. I mean, I know they're in the same conference, but they're getting rid of the divisions, so it's not like we're going to be going up in them for the West title or anything. And it's just not something that you can be totally concerned about. Other teams in the Big Ten are going to have great coaches, so. To me, it's not about anything that Wisconsin does. It's totally been about Nebraska's failures rather than other teams' successes. Nebraska's let other teams just rise above them. It hasn't been just because of great coaches from other schools. It's been our terrible coaches, Riley and Scott Frost now. So if we have the right coach, then I'm confident we can beat Fickell and Wisconsin more than they beat, Nebraska. That remains to be seen if Rhule's that guy, but I believe that.
So that is a very rational response. I think, whether Wisconsin is good or not has very little impact on how good Nebraska is, right? Yeah, they're just one team in a conference of 14 teams, or I guess it's going to be 16. But it did affect my thoughts a little bit because we discussed all the potential hires, and Luke Fickell was the one name that was kind of seemed like a pipe dream, but we thought that's the home run hire. If you can get Luke Fickell to Nebraska, wow, that's incredible because he's kind of got everything that Matt Rhule has, but he's also got that. It's also his success is more recent, right? Like he just took Cincinnati to the playoff. Yeah. And he's known as a really good recruiter and a Big Ten guy. So, to me it was kind of like, ooh, wow, Wisconsin won up to Nebraska. That's makes me feel a little bit less good about the Rhule hire, but ultimately, you're right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, and good for them. They've been better than Nebraska the last 5+ years or whatever. But I just think Rhule was the right fit for Nebraska. He's 20. A proven program builder. Not that. What'd you say?
Ryan said 20, which
20.
Well, yeah,
it was closer. It was closer the farther back you go.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
Whatever, but no, I mean, Rhule is that he's a proven program builder. Not that Fickell isn't, but I mean, Rhule just kind of seems to really pride himself. I mean, he did it twice at Temple and Baylor. So, and we're not even sure if Fickell would have said yes to Nebraska. That's kind of another scenario.
Well,
but,
that's
Yeah.
But it's a great hire for Wisconsin. But I think, like Ryan's point, Nebraska can only worry about themselves and improve themselves, and we can see where the chips fall down the road if that's the case.
So Trev, of course, said that Matt Rhule was the first choice, and maybe he was, but Trev saying that means nothing because he has to say that.
Of course.
And every coach who makes a hire says that. Do you think that we went after Fickell first, or that we gauged interest? We wanted Fickell if Fickell would have been interested in us.
That's
I say
an interesting
us,
question.
Nebraska.
Yeah, maybe he said
I'm sure.
1A.
I'm sure
it was 1B.
No, I mean, and to be fair, he could have. I'm sure he reached out to Fickell, but we don't know what was inside the mind of Trev. Maybe Trev actually really was like Rhule and then Fickell. I mean, whereas maybe the nation might have been the opposite, but I'm not going to put words in Trev's mouth.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know your thoughts below in the comments, especially if you're a Nebraska fan. We're curious to hear fellow Huskers' thoughts. Hopefully after that press conference, like you said, Trey, it was a great press conference. So that probably won some people over that were on the fence. But be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like college football. We'd really appreciate that. Trying to grow the channel. And we'll see you next time.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.